March is a critical time for the Chinese authorities. Each year, two major national conferences are held this month, the Assembly of the National People's Congress Assembly and the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, known in short as the Two Sessions. The Chinese premier announced in his government report that the national GDP growth target for 2021 is set at over 6%. Previously, the Chinese government announced a GDP growth rate of 2.3% for 2020, which was reported by many media around the world as China's positive growth in a worldwide slump caused by the pandemic. But how credible are these two figures? Let's first take a look at China's GDP growth rate of 2.3% in 2020. China's economy is driven by three main components, namely investment, consumption, and exports. In turn, GDP is calculated by adding up the four sectoral values of investment, consumption, government spending, and net exports. Of these, both investment and consumption form the bulk of economic activity. This is illustrated by two sets of data. As can be seen, the PRC Statistics Bureau revised both the 2020 and 2019 figures. One was overstated by 0.9 percentage points, the other by 8.8 percentage points. Put together, the two values account for more than 80% of China's GDP. Assuming that the national fixed asset investment and total retail sales of consumer goods figures released in 2019 and 2020 are true, the GDP growth rates for both years have already been overstated. The Chinese government claims that China's GDP is worth 101.6 trillion yuan in 2020, an increase of 2.3%. But how plausible is this? In 2020, the coronavirus pandemic threw the global economy into recession. The U.S. economy shrank by 3.8%, and the Canadian recession is expected to be more than 5%. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, claims the Chinese economy grew by 2.3% and is expected to achieve a 6% growth rate in 2021. Observers marvel at the supposed fact that China's economy is expected to catch up with the U.S. Going by the official statistics, China's economy is expected to overtake the U.S. by 2028. However, scholars of Chinese demographics tell us otherwise. Based on current trends in the Chinese population, they say a few simple facts will prevent the Chinese economy from ever catching up with the US. In short, the Chinese population is aging rapidly, and its workforce is shrinking due to the smaller number of young people. A large, young workforce is the main driver of a country's economic development. It also reduces the amount of money the government and people have to spend on healthcare and retirement funds. An aging society declines sharply in labor efficiency and its ability to create wealth. Demands for medical care and various health services rise, and the pressure on the social welfare system increases significantly. In 1980, the median age of the population was 22 in China and 30 in the US. In 2018, the median age was 42 in China and 38 in the US. If China's fertility rate stabilizes at 1.2, meaning 1.2 children per woman of childbearing age in her lifetime, the median age in 2035 would be 49 in China and 42 in the US. In 2050, it would be 56 in China and 44 in the US. Professor E speculates, China's aging rate is much higher than that of the United States, and if we follow such a curve, China's economy would probably not surpass that of the United States. The populations of many countries experience aging due to a variety of factors, including rising costs of living and shifting cultural expectations. But in China, this transformation was worsened by the one-child policy. In 1981, the CCP established a powerful organization, the Family Planning Commission, to enforce the one-child policy. As early as the year 2000, Chinese demographers had warned that China's birth rate had dropped to 1.2 and recommended scrapping the one-child policy. But officials at the Family Planning Commission inflated the data, giving a much higher projection of Chinese fertility rates. For over 10 years, this game of inflated numbers continued until it became apparent that the problems of employment and pension deficits in China did not match the country's birth numbers. In 2016, the Chinese government finally allowed a family to have 2 children.
因为中国几十年的计划生育宣权已经改变了人们的生育观念，大家都习惯于只生一个孩子，甚至不生孩子。然后并且中国整个是社会经济模式跟城市规划，也都是围绕着主流家庭只生一个孩子来规划的。即便是人口政策上已经实行了2孩政策，但是社会经济模式跟城市规划很难改变，并且将继续的延续，所以中国生育率也会继续下降。
In 2018, the Family Planning Commission was merged into the Public Health Commission of the State Council, greatly reducing its authority. China officially announced that 13.62 million babies were born in 2018, whereas the Family Planning Commission's earlier projection was 18 million. Population figures published by the Bureau of Statistics before 2018 are directly based on data submitted by the Family Planning Commission. This data is likely false as well. So, why did China's Family Planning Commission need to fabricate the numbers? If China were to completely abolish family planning, then there would be little need to maintain such a massive organization. According to a scholar of family planning, the total amount of fines imposed on Chinese families from 1980 to 2012 for breaking the one-child policy was 1.5 trillion to 2 trillion yuan. All this money went to the Family Planning Commission and its officials. But how could the Family Planning Commission falsify data in such a seamless manner? The president of the Chinese Population Association is the director of the Family Planning Commission, and the deputy director of the National Bureau of Statistics in charge of the population census is usually the vice president of the Chinese Population Association. Both are under the leadership of the National Family Planning Commission, and both are in good position to fix the data as they desire. Of course, even without the Family Planning Commission, we have seen the Bureau of Statistics presenting obviously questionable data to the public, perhaps for political reasons. So, are the top echelons of the CCP aware of the population crisis? The legal age of marriage in China is 22 for men and 20 for women. A committee member empowered to make proposals at 2 sessions said he would recommend the General Assembly to reduce the age of marriage to 18. In China, information is tightly controlled, and the data that comes from the Chinese Bureau of Statistics and General Administration of Customs is hard to verify. Because it's so hard to find detailed and credible data, accurately projecting the future Chinese economy is a formidable challenge. Finally, let's look at Taiwan, officially known as the Republic of China, which is also governed by Chinese. Unlike other countries, it was not directly affected by the coronavirus pandemic, and its economy grew an impressive 2.98% in 2020. However, it appears this data is censored in Communist China's official media. Before we continue, we would like to invite you to subscribe. We strive to bring you the latest news, commentary, and insights out of China. Be sure to click the bell as well so that you're notified when we post new content. Now moving on.